Good afternoon YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we have a problem. Maybe 3 months ago I installed these hand guards on here, these JFG Racing Hand Guards. Now they're actually pretty good hand guards. I've dropped them plenty of time, they're pretty solid, I've never had any issues with them. But I'm kicking myself a little bit because when I installed these, I can remember thinking that the bolts that came with these were not particularly good and that I was going to need to replace them at some point. Worked on this with my brother as well, he's a mechanic, for about an hour actually, trying to get these bolts out without destroying anything. We did all the things you would normally expect to do. Of course, we applied a bit of heat, we're using mole grips, just working it ever so slowly, yeah, putting some lubricant in here, anything we could think of, but these just did not want to budge, and in the end, both sides sheared off at the bar ends. So this is entirely my fault, there's absolutely no ways about it. I knew there was an issue with these bolts, I didn't replace them quickly enough. There are a few options with this, folks. We can leave it as it is and just ride the bike, but that means I don't have my bar ends, and more importantly for me, it means that I don't have my hand guards, which, you know, I'm off-road quite a lot, as you know. Now another option might be to replace the handlebars. Now that is quite an appealing option for me because I've thought about putting rental bars and stuff like this on this for a while. Or you can do what I'm about to do now and drill this out with a Cobalt drill, earplugs. Especially when you're drilling metal on metal, it can be particularly loud. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to drill a small pilot hole. Guys, I've been at this for a good 5 or 6 minutes now, but I've got my little pilot hole in there, and now I'm just going to increase the size of the drill piece. Now I don't want to go too big because I'm still hoping to get an M6 bolt in here. Nice and steady. I'm just varying the speed of the drill here. Okay, I think we're pretty much there, guys, to be honest. Now, something I've noticed with this, when you're drilling, you can see there's now movement in that grip. So the vibrations have caused that bond to break. So what I'm going to need to do is re-glue those grips back on. Use a little bit of Hammerite anti-rust in there just to protect it. Now these are aluminium style bars, I think, or some kind of alloy blend, so it's not such a big deal. But of course when you're drilling that out, the bolt that was in there originally was actually a steel bolt, so you're going to get little residue in there, little filings and stuff, so I wanted just to treat it anyway. To fix this I used a Helicoil Kit. Just a standard kit that you can buy online. It comes with a bunch of tools to help you fix the problem essentially. But this is the main component. What you've really got here is a rethread. They're little steel inserts. So you can buy different sizes of course, but this is an M6 kit. So in here we get a drill piece. Now I had already drilled this out, so it wasn't such a big deal. But it's handy just to double check that you've got the exact size that you need. And then you get a little tapping tool. Sometimes the kits come with a T-piece, or you can do what I did and just use a combination of either a ratchet or a spanner. It's a good idea to use oil. Now you can actually buy specific oil for this, but I just use some motor oil. And all that does is it makes it a little bit easier to get that initial purchase. I just put it in a few threads at a time and then I'll actually take it back out, and all that does is it continually clears the thread as you go in and out. So if we look at the little helicoil inserts themselves, we've got a little wire notch on here. Now it comes with a tool like this and there's little notches on the end of the tool. So you want to put that in there, and that just catches this little wire notch that's on the end, and then you use this tool to rethread the hole that you've made with your tapping tool. You don't need to do this, but I Loctited these and screwed them in, and I also doubled them up. I put 2 in, double stacked them on either side, and all that does is make sure that I've got a nice long bolt in there and I've got extra purchase. Last but not least, you get this little tool here, insert it in, tap, and that'll just break off the little wire coil on the end here, so that you can then insert your bolt. So I gave it a couple of hours just to let that Loctite dry before I put the bolt in. Now what I didn't want to do was Loctite my new bolt in, you know, and I did the opposite. In fact, I used some anti-seize on there, because at the end of the day I would rather have that coming loose than having another situation in the future where I end up snapping a bolt in there. Hopefully it should hold fast over the coming weeks and months, because if you apply these helicoils correctly, they should theoretically be as strong as, if not stronger than the original thread that was in there. Once I put these bar end weights back on, I forgot how nice it feels to have the handlebars appropriately weighted.